right, what's good, y'all? Making the Wall podcast. This is actually episode 1 of season 2. So because it's episode 1 of season 2, I had to bring y'all something pretty dope. We got UFC 300 coming up, so I wanted to test my matchmaking skills, and to do that, I needed to be graded on it. I didn't want to just throw it out there in the atmosphere and then be like, yeah, my shit is dope. But no, I want 2 people who know what they're talking about to take a look at what I'm coming up with and give me their critique. And I know that these gentlemen will be very nice about the way that they critique what I'm going to say. Yeah, no, I don't think so. But they're going to be real. They're going to be real. I know that. So
we know each other long enough now,
before I jump into it, I'm going to introduce them. So I have Spencer Kite. I mean, everybody knows who this dude is. He's a legend at this point. So anything you want to say to them before we jump into it?
Well, legend is a little bit much, but I appreciate it. I'm excited for this. Listen, the UFC is giving out jobs as matchmakers. So we all need to be auditioning all the time, because apparently if you can fix Cody Garbrandt a squash match, you get a job. And so
for real. And I could have done that. I could have set
that fight up.
And then from my boy from Bad MMA Math, I got Francis, aka Frankie. What's going on, man?
Really good, bro. Really happy to be here. This is the first time I've had an extra face on screen, so I'm really excited about that as well. It's new things every week, and I haven't been around too long, so everything's like I'm ticking off new things every time. So it's great. It's great to be here.
Cool. I appreciate y'all. So let me set the stage for everybody. So what we're doing is I made a UFC 300 mock card. Everybody's been talking about the fights that they want to see on UFC 300. And so I'm going to give you what I think would be a good card for UFC 300. But let me set the caveats, the considerations that I made as I created this card. So first off, it's a 13 fight card. So 3 early prelims cards. For the old heads, we know that used to be the Facebook card. We got 5 prelims, and then we got 5 on the main card. So these are going to be realistic fights. So I'm not bringing in Brock Lesnar to fight Ronda Rousey. No crazy stuff like that. These are realistic fights. We're going to keep the fights that have already been announced. We know that there's 3 that have already been put on the card. So we're going to keep those on the card. We're going to try not to schedule fighters who are already scheduled. So if somebody's already scheduled to be at 298 or whatever, they're not going to be on this card unless, and you'll see where I'm going with the unless. We'll see that when we get to it. These are going to be ranking and career appropriate. So I'm not going to have somebody fight somebody else that doesn't make any sense for the trajectory of their career. So there's going to be no Tony Ferguson against Islam Makhachev foolishness on the card. And the last thing, and this is the most important, is that it's engineered to best grab the moment of UFC 300. We've seen what happened on UFC 200. We've seen what happened on UFC 100. And we want to go in that same lane as best we can, given the circumstances. We already know that Conor McGregor has said that he's going to fight at International Fight Week. So Conor McGregor's not going to be on this card. So things like that have been taken into consideration. So ground rules set. Everybody knows where I'm coming from. So let me present the early prelims. Okay. First fight. Felipe Dos Santos against Victor Altamirano. This is already scheduled, and this is the one that I was talking about. This is already scheduled for UFC 299, I think. I'm moving that fight from there to be the curtain jerker for this particular event. That's the first fight. I'm not even going to give you any caveats on why I did these things. I'll defend myself later on. The second fight is going to be Jim Miller against Joe Lauzon. I wanted to make sure that Jim Miller got on this card. And the headliner of the early prelims is a fight that's already been announced. It's Bo Nickel against Cody Brundage. So those are the fights for the early prelims. Felipe Dos Santos against Victor Altamirano, Jim Miller against Joe Lauzon, and Bo Nickel against Cody Brundage. So I'll give it to you, Frankie, first. What do you think about those early prelims?
I quite like the variety. You know, you've got quite a good representation across a few different weight classes, which is always good for the pace of a card. I always find if you kind of stack, you know, fights from the same division back to back, it can tend to have a very strange effect on the pacing of a card. I'm kind of interested to know why you moved the card from 299 to here. That was probably the one that caught me off guard the most. The Altamirano fight. So I'm quite looking forward to hearing the reasoning behind that. I think having Jim Miller on the card is something that I think it's something that's been spoken about a little bit. Obviously since, you know, the hype behind UFC 300 kind of started. And I really hope that he gets to be placed on the card. I don't think there's anything official yet from what we know. But he's definitely somebody that I want to see. I think even the whole talk about him, whether or not he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, is utterly ridiculous. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I know, you know, obviously somebody who hasn't been champion or hasn't had a particularly long winning streaks or whatever. I think, you know, there's different criteria. So no, I think from what you've, I think it makes sense as the early prelim of a card. And yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense the way you set it up. From my perspective, yeah.
Cool. So I'll tell you why I moved to Felipe Dos Santos against Victor Altamirano is because of how good I think that fight is going to be. I mean, and Spencer knows, I've mentioned this dude before when we did a particular show. I think Felipe Dos Santos is a future star. And I think that if you look back at UFC 200, and look down the card, at the bottom of the card, you'll see people on that card that ended up being future stars. And this is a great event to showcase future stars, a la Bo Nickel. That's another person that I think is a future star. So having those people on the card, no matter how high or low, I think are very important things to add to UFC 300. And Victor Altamirano is a willing participant in a scrap. So that's why I included those. And there were other people that I considered there. We lost them. There's other people I considered there, but I think that Felipe Dos Santos and Victor Altamirano, I don't see how you get a boring fight here.
No, I love it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Libe Daytona, you don't go to Sydney and have that fight with Manel Cape and then take a real backseat. Like, this year should be showcase the hell out of this kid. It may not go well. Like, who knows, right? We don't know from one fight to the next how things are going to progress. But a 22-year-old or 23-year-old that flies across the world on a week's notice or 2 weeks' notice to face a top 10 dude and give him hell absolutely should be getting a showcase like this.
Absolutely. So what did you think? What did you think about those three?
So I love the opener because I think openers are important. It's a thing I always think about when I'm looking at fight cards, like, let's start things off, and especially a card like this, right? Pay-per-views especially. Started off with a bang. I think Felipe Dos Santos is a guy that, similar to you, by the end of the year, he's in the top 15, in my opinion. He has those kind of skills. If it progresses, health, all of those things considered, I think he can get there. Jim Miller, Joe Lozon 3, like, sign me up. Number 1 is still in my top 10 of all-time fights because the moment where they get paused to cut the tape on Joe's glove and they kind of look at each other and are like, this is fun, as they're bleeding all over each other is great. Number 2 took place out here in Vancouver. I got to talk to them before it. Great relationship with both guys. I am absolutely perplexed as to why Jim Miller is fighting next weekend. Like,
that is so weird to me.
You should have just booked him to 300 right away. Why are you putting this? Like, I know, knowing Jimmy, I know he didn't want to wait from June of last year till April of this year to fight. That's just too long. You couldn't have gotten him in November.
I know,
like,
man.
You couldn't have scheduled this out a little better. Like, my fingers are crossed that everything goes smoothly against Gabriel Benitez, who is tough, who is durable, who hits hard. It's a tough fight. So hopefully that works out. I like the pairing. I like the matchup. You give Joe Lozon one last opportunity to get his flowers as well. I know he wanted it in Boston last year and it didn't come together. Feels like a real good matchup. And I like showcasing Bo Nickel kind of at the end of the prelims, which also tells me that the rest of this card is going to be absolutely stacked. So I got no notes right now. I got no criticisms so far.
Cool. Okay. All right. So I like my early prelims. So let me jump into the prelims, and this is where things are going to get a little spicy. So we'll see how y'all feel about it. All right. So into the prelims, starting out the prelims, the aforementioned before the show started, Joe Pyfer. Now, let me give you the caveat on Joe Pyfer. People know that I really want to see Joe Pyfer against Bo Nickel. Like, I really want to see that fight. And I feel like if I put them back to back, that if Bo Nickel gives a great performance and if Joe Pyfer gives a great performance, then I will get some backing on this particular fight. So I got Joe Pyfer matched up against Brian Battle. That I think would be a dope fight. After them, I got Holly Holm against Miesha Tate. Following that fight, I got Rose Namajunas against Amanda Ribas. After that one, I have Dominic Cruz against Cody Garbrandt. And then the headliner of the prelims, Aljamain Sterling against Calvin Kattar. So on those prelims, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 former champions just on the prelims.
Wow.
All right. So hearing those prelims, I'll go to you first, Spencer. What do you think about that prelim card? That's a free on ESPN prelims.
So I love it from a construction standpoint, certainly going to appeal to casuals that recognize a bunch of these names, right? As you said, anytime you're rolling out a whole bunch of champions, that's how you get people interested. They don't care that Cody Garbrandt isn't the guy that was breakdancing on Dominic Cruz. They just know Cody No Love was breakdancing on Dominic Cruz back in the day.
Yep.
Hopefully we can rekindle it. It's a fight. To me, that's the fight that makes sense for both guys. I know Cody has shot it down very recently of I can't top that performance, but you were never going to ever in the rest of your career. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. That thing was a masterpiece.
It was.
It was as perfect as it could be. You're never going to top that. So don't be trying to top it. Just go out and fight this dude. Now, can he get through Cruz at this point? We'd have to find out. I do have notes, though.
Okay.
So Joe Pyfer is fighting in February, headlining against Jack Hermanson. So he has to get through that one, has to stay healthy, which has been a struggle for Joey. Neither do I, but staying healthy has been a struggle. He always jacks up a hand or something. And Brian Battle's a welterweight, isn't he?
But
isn't Brian Battle down at welterweight? But he can fight at middleweight.
Right.
Yeah,
and I think that he would be up for that fight. And the reason that I picked Brian Battle is because of the violence that he brings. And he wants to be in those types of fights. He wants that kind of smoke. And I think that he would raise his hand for that fight. But I would be open I would really want to get Joe Pyfer in there. That's really the A side of that matchup. So if there was another person to throw in there instead of Brian Battle, then I would be all for that. But I think if you ask Brian, I think he would be like UFC 300, Joe Pyfer. Yeah, I'll take it.
So I would just try to go bigger. So if he gets through Jack Hermanson, I would just try to go bigger. And I would see what Jared Cannonier's up to.
Ooh. But is he good off of that injury though?
Right. When did he get hurt? What did he do? I don't remember.
It was his knee, but I don't know how bad it is because he doesn't really, know.
We've got some middleweights to play with, though. See what Kyle Bahayo's up to. See if that dude wants to get in there.
Yeah, he's sitting just around 15, I think,
and put
as well.
I think put his number on the line, put his unbeaten
in the
UFC.
I know
see what's up with these Contender Series alums.
He said something
and you're
about
kind of keeping it divisional as well.
Yeah, I've heard something about him having a fight. I don't know if it's booked or if it's in the works, but this one would trump whatever it is that he has. So
right,
that's a good one.
Holly Holm, Miesha Tate, I'm always up for seeing them run it back. I know Miesha got a little salty here not long ago when she was like, people keep wanting to call that a comeback. I was there. It was a comeback. Like you were 60 seconds away from losing the fight. I was writing up the Holly Holm retains her title and had to erase all of that and write, holy shit, Miesha Tate pulled off an insane comeback. When you get a takedown in the last 90 seconds that you desperately need, it's a comeback. I love you, Miesha. It was a comeback. It's okay. Same as the Cody thing. It's okay.
Own it.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing that you were losing a fight and came back to win. It actually makes the victory even better. I would love to see that one again. I do think one of those two women are in the mix in the I've got something big for you that Dana's talking about. Mm-hmm. I do think they're going to try to pull the Ronda Rousey rabbit out of the hat.
I hope
for one of them.
God, they don't.
I just
do that.
I think they're going to try. When you look at what's on the card now, and listen, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm in the shake my head. Do we not remember how this ended? Do we not? Even how WWE ended? This woman doesn't like doing media. She doesn't like losing. I can't see her rolling back in after 6, 7, 8 years and being ultra competitive with anybody.
No.
But can you convince her to come in and face Miesha one more time?
Yes, you could.
Probably. And would Miesha take it? Oh, hell yes.
Miesha would destroy her.
Which is why she will say yes and sign the contract. It's like the words wouldn't need to be out of Hunter Campbell's mouth. He would be like, would you fight Ronda at? And she'd be like, done. Sign, send the contract. Rose versus Amanda Hebos, sign me up today. Make it happen. I love it. I want more of it. I don't care whether they're at 115 or 125.
Yeah, I love the fight. That, yeah, what weight was it going to be at? Yeah.
Love the fight. They can pick, yeah. If they want to cut weight. If they don't, bet. Good fight. Really want to see if Rose, I'm really curious to see if Rose wants to stick around. She's one of those people, to me, I put out a predictions piece for sort of the year or sort of some ideas of what might happen. She's somebody that I listed in this might be the last year we see her.
Yeah.
Just always feels like she's one fight away from being like, nah, I'm good.
True.
But I'd love to see her compete. And then that Cater Aljo fight is just one that I'm so fascinated by, because that is a tough assignment for Aljo. Mm-hmm. But then you see him in that grappling match with Jason Dantzler, and he looked huge.
He did look big.
And Cal's coming off an injury and a year away. It's a good fight. It's a great fight.
So what do you think, Frankie?
All right. First of all, I just want to throw up a quick apology. When we were going through the early prelims part, I lost connection for a little bit there, so I couldn't hear the first fight or the third fight. I think the Bo Nickal situation's ridiculous. I think he should be getting somebody, far more of a challenge at this point. I think he's kind of proven that he can do more, but that's already set in stone. So, there's not really too much we can say about that one. Yeah. So to kind of echo what was said about the others, I think, matching up Joe Pyfer with Cal, I think would be a good one. I think even though he's only had a few fights, I think he's kind of ready at this point to, middleweight is one of the shallowest divisions, I would say, in the UFC. So there's not that much in terms of challenging talent for him to take on, kind of in between that 15 to 25 bracket. And I think he's kind of proven that he's very well-rounded, very explosive. And I'd like to see him go against somebody like Cal just to get the division moving a little bit. I quite like that as a matchup. I mean, when you originally said Pyfer and Battle, I was like, my first reaction was, because, I think I was thinking along the similar lines that you were, that, Battle's somebody who obviously will bring a fight. And, as you know about me, when I'm ever thinking about making matchups, I always think about
bangers.
Bangers. How's it going to be entertaining first? How are they going to match up? So that was my initial reaction to it. Holly Holm and Miesha Tate probably got the same reaction to it. It would be nice to see it ran back again. I don't really see many other options for them at this stage in their career. Again, given what you said about the nature of what UFC 300 is, it's a nice fight to put in there as a kind of a blast from the past, run it back, see where they're at. I'd say, because it's very much at the point where they're both kind of coming up towards the end, or, despite Holly's 8-fight deal or whatever it was not too long ago, which was a bit crazy. I like the Rose and Rebus one. Again, I'd probably prefer to see it at strawweight. I didn't really like the look of Rose at flyweight. I thought she wasn't powerful enough. I thought Fiora kind of bullied her a bit. I didn't really like that for her, and I think having her and Rebus have a go at it at strawweight would probably be the better option. But again, it's a fight that can't really go wrong with the styles that they bring. Cruz and Garbrandt, again, we've kind of touched upon this before. The first fight was fantastic, and I consider it one of the greatest and most shocking performances certainly in bantamweight title fight history. I don't think anyone expected Garbrandt to go in there and style on him the way that he did, and given the way that his career's gone since, it would be something that's worth seeing again, because the chin is not there anymore. Cruz has shown he can still, the fight he had with Marlon Vera, he was winning 95% of that fight until he got, brutally kicked in the head. But he showed he can still belong in there. And while I know I'd favor one guy over the other, I'm not sure if I should say who, there's intrigue there. There's intrigue. I'd want to see it again. And very similar to what we spoke about with Sterling and Cater. It's one of those, we have no idea how that would go, because it's such an interesting style dynamic. You've obviously got, Cater's got such brilliant boxing and good distance management. And Sterling's obviously somebody who's going to try and apply a rest. We haven't obviously seen him at featherweight yet. It's something he's already spoken about. It's a very intriguing matchup. So very, very solid prelim card, and as we spoke about as well, something that could be really good for the casuals and hardcores alike. So it's a good card. It's a good prelim. I like it.
Cool. We're good. We're going well so far. We've got one edit. That's Joe Pyfer against Kai, but otherwise pretty decent. All right, here's where things get real nuts. Is the one that I think that we know the least about, which is the main card. I thought that we were going to get an announcement, and I kept on checking my phone. Like, I thought we were going to get some announcements after the Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua announcement. I was like, oh, Dana's in there cooking it up now. But did y'all hear anything? I didn't hear anything.
Slap fighting marathon.
Is that what it was? Dude, no.
Apparently there's a slap fight marathon happening this weekend. I don't know.
That's all
so
right.
do you guys hate slap as much as I do? Or is that okay?
Dude,
everybody does.
I wanted to be careful.
Organized concussions. No, I'm good. Like, no, I don't like that. I don't like to watch people. That's not fighting. Like, you're just letting somebody punch you in the face to see who's the toughest.
I think what makes it weird is how very weirdly behind it Dana is. It's like, it says a lot about him as a person, that this is what he's focusing on.
I think it's too far gone now. Once Dana's in something, he's like, well, I can't really pull out of it now. I put all this into it. I don't want anybody to say that I was wrong, because he's not going to say it. But
no,
this wasn't it. This wasn't a move. But whatever. Apparently, it's got the biggest social following in the history of the internet. So whatever.
Of course it does.
All right. So here we go. The main card, pay-per-view. Yuri Prochazka against Alexander Rakic. We already knew this was coming. So I have that opening it up. The reason I have that one opening is because I'm not positive how it's going to go. It could go really explosive because Yuri is very unpredictable, but I don't know if Alexander is fully, it's been a while since he fought. He got the injury. we don't know what we're getting anytime somebody's coming back from injury. So, as you both were talking about with Calvin Kattar, like we don't know when somebody comes back from an injury, whether they're going to be tentative. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But that one's a known fight that was on the card. The next one, I got Dustin Poirier against Nate Diaz. Got Nate coming back to make that one right. That was a fight that was supposed to happen quite some time ago. I think this is a decent fight for Nate to come back on. And I know that Nate is the person that wants to headline the card, but I think that he could get on board for UFC 300. He did tweet that would be something. He said that would be tight, but there's nobody that wants to fight. But Dustin will fight Nate Diaz, 100%. The next one, and we're going on our run of championship fights. So 3 championship fights on this one. This is one that's been talked about, and this is one that I definitely want to see. Alexa Grasso is against Zhang Weili. Zhang Weili going up to see if she can get that belt. This one, of course, it doesn't destroy the fight that I think should happen in Zhang Weili's weight class, which is her against Yan Xiaonan. It's something that me and Frankie talked about before. I think this should happen for UFC 300. The co-main event championship fight. And I don't know if it's in stone, but I'm pretty sure if it's not in stone, it's pretty close to being in stone. Leon Edwards against Bilal Muhammad. This is not a fight that I wanted to be on UFC 300. I'll say that straight up. I don't think it's going to be exciting, just given the 2 people that are in it. But it's a fight that, that has been strongly rumored that it's going to be on this card. Leon said in an interview that he's going to be on this card. So that we get what we get. And then the headliner for UFC 300 is Alex Pereira against Israel Adesanya for the light heavyweight strap. I'm dusting off Israel Adesanya. I know he said that he wasn't going to be back for a while, but I don't believe him. I've seen pictures of him bulking up, getting ready for something, and I don't know if it's going to be a photo shoot or if he's going to pick flowers. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's bulking up. I know that. And if you're going to do that, you might as well come back and fight Alex and make it right at light heavyweight. So that's my main card. What do you guys think? I'm going to go to you, Spencer, first. Or actually, I'm going to go to you, Frankie, first.
All right. This is a mixed bag for me. I'm going to be honest. I really like the Yuri Rakic fight, mostly because, obviously, Yuri, while I think is sometimes not the most technically proficient guy out there, he's somebody who's very fun to watch, very entertaining. And again, we were obviously missing him for a year, in very fortuitous circumstances. So I like the fact that he's going to be getting back in there relatively soon. And I think the fight against Rakic is an interesting one again. It's one of those ones where stylistically it's a very, very hard one to predict, which makes it, again, intriguing. And again, it's very relevant in terms of where things are in the light heavyweight rankings. The winner could very much be right on the doorstep, which those are the kind of fights I like to see. Things that there's a clear direction with where they're going. So I love that one. Poirier and Diaz, I don't like it. I think I'm going to be brutally honest about this. All I can think about when I think about Nate Diaz now is the fight he had with Tony Ferguson, and just how it was like 2 geriatrics scrapping. It was horrific. And I just think that, like, while I know that, Nate Diaz can always bring the entertainment factor because, the guy's impossible to break down, he's a zombie. But I honestly feel if you stick him in there with Poirier would batter him. He would batter him relentlessly, and it would just be Nate's back, and we've just seen him get crushed. It feels like a mismatch to me. I don't know what weight you'd put it at. I assume it would be at lightweight, which I don't know if I don't even know if Nate's walking around. I mean, because he looked a little bit fluffy. We'll call it fluffy in the Jake Paul fight, and I think he was at 185 or something. I don't even know if he's making 155. I love Nate. I think he's washed. Like, and putting him in against Poirier it's only going one way. Like, it will be entertaining for us as fans, but as somebody who likes Nate and I think he gets battered. Grasso and Weili. I'm kind of a bit mixed on this one because it kind of, again, it's an exciting matchup. I think Weili's kind of earned it. But at the same time, it's kind of what I discussed with you before. I think there's so much still to be done in her division. You've got Tatiana Suarez coming up. I know she was booked recently. She should be fighting Yan Jiaonan soon. They should be doing that in China, taking advantage of that market, having the two of them face off. It's a win-win situation. You bring your product over to that side of the world in a space where one of your biggest, or your only rival really globally is operating, and you've got a chance to have two Chinese fighters going against each other where one of them will end the night as champion. You cannot lose in that situation. And I think again, it's like, making the fight before the fight. If you play those games, it often goes badly. We've seen it with boxing, with the AJ and, the judgment, that whole situation. And I really want to see that fight so badly. And because there's so much going on in both of their divisions where you can see contenders coming up, like I said, in Grasso's division, you've got, Shevchenko's, there's still that whole thing going on. You've obviously got Blanchfield, you've got Fiora who are fighting soon. So I don't know, that one, it would be a great fight, a great matchup, but I can see where there's a big negative side to it as well. Edwards Mohammed. Yeah. I think we need to get this out of the way because I'm honestly tired of hearing Bilal just spout off about it's annoying.
Your favorite fighters, right?
I love Bilal Mohammed. I love him. He's my favorite. I've got there's a tattoo of him somewhere around it. I'll show it to you later. Like he's a man. It's somewhere I can't show on camera. But yeah, he's I'm just tired of hearing it. And the thing is, as much as I love the man, he does deserve a shot at this point. And I don't fancy his chances against Leon, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bilal is actually a very good fighter. He's just a bit annoying about the way he goes about things, but he deserves that shot. And again, we want welterweight to keep moving. We don't want Leon 6 months from now again fighting, 8 months from now from fighting. So from that perspective, if that fight happens in 3 months' time or so, we're keeping the division ticking over. We've got Shavkat coming up behind. I like it. Mm-hmm. So for that fight, I think it will be interesting. I think it could be. I don't think it's going to be as bad as everyone thinks it's going to be. Is what I'm kind of getting at. So yeah, I do like that fight. Now the last one, Pereira and Adesanya at light heavyweight.
Another one of your favorite fighters, Israel.
Another one of my favorite fight. You keep bringing keep bringing it. The reason why I don't love it, and the main reason for it again, Adesanya's lost 2 in his last 3. I think putting him in for another title shot is again a slap in the face to everyone who's worked their way up at light heavyweight. For me, it comes down to it being that simple. Like, I think obviously their rivalry is something that's never gonna. I mean, certainly now it's still intriguing. They've both got really dominant wins over each other, and then I don't really count the kickboxing stuff too much. I think I mostly focus on what happened within MMA. But so you kind of see this one as the rubber match, which I can get behind. I just think giving the guy another shot in another division after he's coming off losing his belt in his own division, to me it's unfair to everyone else who's worked their way up. So again, it's going to be a good fight. So from that perspective, I get where you're coming from. Is it fair? I'd have to say no. And so from where I stand, I'd rather see somebody else get that opportunity. That's where I'm at.
Fair. Spencer, what you think?
That last part is the part I echo as well. From a engagement, entertainment, sell this to the masses, this hits all those marks of what people are looking for. You're still going to get the grousers that say it could be better and we need bigger names and stuff like that. But 3 title fights, you throw Nate and Dustin on there. Those are 2 very formidable names. If you do it as a 5-round fight, I think would be an interesting way to kind of add a little bit more to it as well. But I'm of the same sort of approach as Frankie. Although I might be the only man in the sport, in the world, that is really looking forward to Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad. I think it's a fascinating fight. I know Bilal can be obnoxious in his constant being out there, demanding his opportunities. Closed mouths don't get fed. And
True.
He's already been skipped out. He's been on the sidelines for more than a year after bouncing Sean Brady from the unbeaten ranks. Oh no, he fought Gilbert. Fine.
Yeah.
It's been 8 months.
Injured Gilbert.
It's been 8 months. And he had to watch Colby Covington go out there and not fight Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
I get why he's angry and talking a lot. Makes a lot of sense. I think it's a fascinating fight. I think the first round of their first encounter gives Leon a whole bunch of confidence that he maybe gets a little too confident with, because Bilal's going to learn from that. Bilal's going to grow from that. He's got multiple fights to watch. I think it's a great fight, and I do love the idea of just let's keep welterweight going, because there are hitters coming behind whoever gets the next shot, with Shavkat, with Ian Machado Gary at some point. Sean Brady is going to come back and continue to be a force. He looked great in Austin against Calvin Gastelum. There's people coming. I feel the same way about Nathan Diaz as Frankie does. I get it from a fight standpoint. I get it from a selling it to people. Dustin, 100%. It's another one of those ones where they call him up and say, hey, what about Nate? And he just, you have my e-signature already. Just tick that box and we're good. I don't need to see it. I don't want to see it. I think Nate being the guy that welcomes Jake Paul to MMA in the PFL is probably a smarter move for Nathan Diaz at this point, given that he's 37 and, not somebody that's going to go out there and compete with Dustin Poirier. Now, granted, Poirier's coming off a loss, and I think he wants to be a part of a card like this, and he wants to be a part of big fights. So we'll see. But I think this would look very much like the Diaz Masvidal BMF fight, where it's just one-sided from the jump. I was thinking as you were talking about it, could we do Poirier versus Masvidal, but they're homies, and it's just not going to happen, because Masvidal now very predictably is unretired and is going to come back. But yeah, they're too close to do that one. I love having Yuri Prochazka in the opener. He's a chaos agent. It's going to be crazy. He's the kind of guy that even before he got hurt, we saw Alexander Rakic being very risk averse. He started his career as kind of a wide open guy, like the Devin Clark fight in Toronto was chaos. And then as he started climbing the ladder, he got real wrestle heavy. And so Yuri's the kind of guy that's going to force you to do some other things. And if you want to wrestle, fine, but he's going to be throwing elbows and trying to Granby roll and just being the chaos agent that he is. So I think it's a great matchup. I'm glad he jumped into that opportunity when Jan Blachowicz got hurt. Alexa Grasso, Zhang Weili, again, same mind as Frankie. I like the fight. I just think there's so much going on in each of those divisions that, and the other part for me too is there's still going to be UFC 301 that we have to book. There's still going to be UFC 302 that we have to book. And so every time we get these cards where it's multiple title fights, 2 and 3 title fights, and then a champion versus champion, I'm cool with it so long as when 301 and 302 come around, and it's like 289 was out here in Vancouver, where it's Amanda Nunes, Irene Aldana, and no second title fight, everybody's cool. If everybody can be chill about things. Let's do 3-4 title fights. But that's not what we get. And so if we do Grasso Shevchenko part 3, get that settled, get that squared away a month before this card, Aaron Blanchfield and Manuel Fiorot for the number 1 contender out in AC. Perfect timeline that we line them up in the summer and we're going forward. And if we get to a point where both of these women have their belts on September 14th at the Sphere for Noche UFC, feels like an all right time to do it. Because then by that point, Zhang Weili has faced Yan Xiaonan, maybe even faced Tatiana Suarez, who, as always, I'm knocking on wood, has to stay healthy, has to continue progressing forward. And then the Pereira Izzy thing, yeah, again, it's Frankie's on point with all of this. Like, it makes sense, 100%. You can sell that in a heartbeat, right? Like, show Pereira winning the title, and then right behind it, show Izzy knocking him out and shooting arrows. Done. Casuals are in. Doesn't matter about records, doesn't matter about results, doesn't matter about any of that stuff. But for us, I sit here and think the same thing. This man looked terrible against Sean Strickland. Sean was shouting at him with his hands down, begging him to punch him. And Izzy was like, nah, I'm good. And now we're going to hustle you into a new division where you've already fought for that belt and lost. And we're going to hustle you in there. I thought you were going to hit us with Pereira versus Tom Aspinall. Because that's super interesting to me.
Yeah.
Alex Pereira trying to become the first dude to win 3 titles.
So let me explain a couple of them.
Yeah.
So the Yuri and Alexander Rakic, we're all on the same line of thinking as far as them. For Dustin Poirier against Nathan Diaz, the reason I brought up Nathan Diaz was because that they've mentioned it before. Obviously, it's UFC 300. It's a big deal. But in looking down lightweight for Dustin, I didn't see any fights that I know that he would take.
Don't get me wrong. I think this fight very well could be at UFC 300.
Yeah.
This is very possible. 100%. If they announce this in the next 2 weeks, no one should be shocked.
No, you're speaking very logically in terms of what could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
we're
kind of
just
where
assholes that don't like it.
Oh, no. But the points y'all are making, like, y'all know, like, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
It had to be
As
said,
you said
though,
at the top of this, right? Like, this isn't you doing the, like, I need to book this for rankings and for, this is what is selling to the masses on the tricentennial card that for the first time they're trying to do something real special. Because 200, they tried to, and they screwed that whole thing up with the Connor and everything. And then John Jones screwed it up even more and all kinds of shit. But they're trying with this one.
Apart. Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's another reason that I kind of stacked things the way that they did, is because inevitably fights fall out. And so if for whatever reason Dominic Cruz, twists his ankle and that fight is off, well, that's fine, because look at all the other fights we got on this card.
Right.
So that's kind of why I stacked it that way. But now the Alexa Grasso and Zhang Weili fight. One, I wanted to keep Alexa Grasso available for that fight at the Sphere. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get it earlier in the year, so she had time to recover to fight at the Sphere.
Makes sense.
That's the one thing. For Zhang Weili, I didn't think that whether she wins or loses, she can still fight Yan Xiaonan in China
for sure
later on in the year. Now, as far as like Tatiana Suarez, I do think she could fight. Honestly, she might be our next champ. The way that she is fighting, the way that her weight fluctuates, and she's going to be able to fight in 2 divisions. But I think that that's something that's going to be a bridge that we cross later on in the year, inevitably. So that's why I kind of matched them up here. I definitely on record as far as saying I don't really like champ fights that much unless a person really truly cleaned out their division. But for this one, because of the event and because of the spectacle that it's supposed to be, that's why I threw them on there. Leon and Bilal, I mean, We got to get it out the way. I would prefer that fight to be on a Tom Aspinall against Cyril Gane headline card in London. That's what I would prefer. But I think that
do it somewhere. Frank is going to be impressed with me here. Do it somewhere up north. Don't do it in London. Don't do it in Manchester. Do it in
Manchester. Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
I think,
or maybe even in Birmingham.
Edwards was talking about doing it at Villa Park. Like, do it somewhere. Do it somewhere that those boys are from. Like,
he's kind of earned it.
It's weird for us over here that see the small United Kingdom generally, and we're like, it's all relatively close. But like, you talk to Tom, you talk to Northerners, and they're like, London's. It's several hours and like so different culturally.
No, there's
so
definitely
different.
A thing. There's a north-south
and
thing, definitely.
Yeah. And so unless they're going to do Wembley where it's like we can get 80,000, then, but I mean, Villa Park's got to be able to do close to that.
Yeah, no, like it's quite a big stadium. I think it can do, I think it's like between 50 and 60, something like that.
That would sound about right.
Yeah, that'd be all right.
But like, I would prefer them to be on that card over there. But
it depends what happens as well. Because that's what we were saying about turning the welterweight. Welterweight's been stalled for so long, so that's why I particularly liked you putting that fight on this card, because we get it now, and it is a more intriguing matchup, as I said, than people think. I think it's going to be a very interesting fight. So
and the other thing that helps with stacking this card, or the other thing that makes stacking this card possible, is that International Fight Week, we've already got a main event that is nothing to do with titles. So we don't necessarily need a champion. We've got Conor McGregor. And so that makes it a little bit easier when you're like, where's everybody else for these next ones? You still need May, you still need June, but the first one in July is straight. You can still have a title fight on there, and I'm sure they will, but you don't need 2 and 3 for International Fight Week, because you've got a middleweight matchup between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler.
While we're on that, real quick.
It's dumb as hell. Like, just fight at welterweight. Just fight at welterweight. That's what I expected.
I know what he's doing.
When he cackled at, it's going to be at 185, I threw my phone across the room. Not going to lie. I just gave it a pitch onto the bed like, I'm done with this idiot. This is dumb.
I mean, I know he's trying to, do that. I've got to knock out at, these different weight classes. I think that's where he's going with this.
Yeah.
Plus, he doesn't really want to cut the weight. But, I mean, realistically, he can't fight 185 and do any damage, to anybody, that's a real 185er. He can't do anything. 170, he'll have trouble. Is he going to step in there against Shavkat?
Yeah.
Come on.
You'd assume it's specifically to disadvantage Chandler, though, more than anything else. Because he's been the one who's been training his butt off for the last 2 years while McGregor's been doing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And then suddenly you're like, actually, we're going to be fighting at 185. So then he's like, God damn, now I've got to pack on more of this. And so it resets Michael Chandler as well. Like, I did make a video about this, and I, as much as, again, I am of Irish descent, but Conor McGregor's lost me a little bit. I have to admit that. Yeah. I think with most of the...
So my question is, let's say, I don't know, Conor's headlining that. And so really 2 questions. So we got Conor McGregor and we got Michael Chandler. Now, if they're fighting at 185, I guess it really doesn't matter. But who walks out first? Michael Chandler has to walk out first. He's the ranked fighter. Who walks out first?
He's not ranked at middleweight, though.
Exactly.
Conor's walking out last.
Caveat.
Connor's walking out last.
Oh, Connor's dedefinitely walking out last. You think imagine the hissy fit. Imagine.
And it has to be the main event. That's the other part.
Oh, yeah.
You're pulling champions. So my guess for co-main event is Pantoja versus somebody. Because you're just taking some guy that is not going to complain, that is just likes fighting. Loves fighting in Vegas, loves fighting at T-Mobile.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to be on there, just wants to compete. Huge payday. No problem.
There are so many champions that would take that fight. Think about it's like what Antwyn just said. Like, the pay-per-view points are going to be, regardless of whether you're a McGregor fan or not, you're going to tune in to either see him, be be victorious or to get absolutely smashed. So I'd imagine it will be popular. So if you're any champion, you're going to be like, yeah, I'll jump on the back end of that. You kidding me? Pay-per-view points on that
some
guy.
That won't though. There are some that won't. Like if
Ilia Topuria
beats Alex Volkanovski, that dude ain't wanting to be behind anybody.
Yeah.
Like John
there are
Jones,
a few examples.
John Jones, if he was healthy, is not sharing that card. Now the UFC would never book it because it would be way too much money to give to everybody, and we can get into those things some other day. But there's a few that I would argue, I would wager, like Islam ain't fighting before that dude. Like no shot. No way.
Now that you mention it, it's actually
like
quite most of the men's
There's a few that are just like
no chance.
That ego piece. The ego piece is more than the money piece, and I respect
got so many
it.
Enemies as well now. They don't want to be like actively showing I'm going behind this guy. Like
yeah.
Sean O'Malley would.
Sean would.
He'd let him take him out on a dog chain.
Sean would. Pantoja would. Like there's different people will do it for different reasons, right? Like Pantoja will do it to be a part of a huge card, and he just wants to compete. He loves fighting in Vegas. He loves fighting at that arena. He's had great success there. It doesn't like none of that stuff registers to him. Sean would do it because it's like, I'm on the Conor McGregor card. This is how I build my brand.
And he's not the biggest pay-per-view seller anyway, so then it gets to ride off the back of that. He doesn't have the pressure on him then of being the main event.
Right.
Which is important.
That's true.
There's a few options.
That's going to be interesting.
Because it's going to be really interesting to see what that fight with Cheeto does, right? Because he handpicked that one. He said that's the one he wants. You're headlining. Let's see what kind of sway you got.
Yeah,
it's a lot of pressure. So overall, what grade are you guys giving the card, taking all those things into consideration?
Oh man, this is an A+ for me. Like for selling this to people that want a spectacle, that want to see something that is worth it's $65 here. I don't know what it is everywhere else. $85 in the States, I think, which is bonkers. Yeah, but for people that want their $85 worth, this is your sign.
I don't know how you guys pay that. It's insane.
Mental.
You got a budget.
Yeah. See, we get it. We get every card. Yeah, we get every card over here. I think it's like I'm paying about £30 a month, and that's it. And I get every card, including pay-per-views. So
dang, that's nice.
Yeah, we need that set up here.
We don't have that kind of thing.
No, it doesn't sound. It sounds like you guys are getting absolutely reamed out.
Capitalism, where they can squeeze you for every possible dime imaginable.
Yeah, venture capitalists around every corner. Just trying to suckle every single dime from you.
Yes. I pay for, so this year it's now moving to Sportsnet, so I will be paying for 4 different ways of getting UFC content this year.
And I would never encourage using other means of watching your content. That is wrong, and you should never do it. I'm just putting that out there immediately.
Piracy is illegal.
It is, and it's bad. It's just very
Dana
bad.
White will come and get you.
Yes, he will. Personally, and slap you. But so, Frankie, what grade do you give it?
I'm thinking along similar lines. Like, even though I disagree with some of the bouts for various reasons, in terms of what you've set up and what UFC 300 should represent, I'd give it like a solid A. And I think, again, we kind of draw back to, I just think they've kind of made a rod for their own back with this one, in terms of coming out and saying, we're going to make this massive marquee event. And as we've discussed here, like, you don't want to overstack something and then leave yourself completely screwed for the next 5-6 following cards after. And you don't want to be messing up divisions and log jamming again. So in terms of what you've constructed from that point of view, I think it's a really good card. It's a card that's going to sell. It's got exciting fights on it. And what the great thing about it is it's a card that sells itself. You don't really have to do much with any of these matchups. All of them, you don't have to have anything crazy going down in presses or too much crazy marketing in terms of, all those goings on. The fights sell themselves. And I think for a marquee card like this, best way to set it up. So I think it's a very, it's a card I'd be desperate to watch. Despite some of my reservations about some of the matchups themselves because of outside reasons, the fights themselves, love it.
Cool. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and send this in as my resume.
I think you were expecting that to go badly, weren't you? You were like, I'm gonna get.
Yeah, you
crushed it.
I had my pen out. I was like, let me see.
Let me take these notes. What are they gonna? Nah, this is for the purpose of this exercise. This is the kind of card that it should be.
Yeah. Cool. I like it. So, and we did that in under an hour. It's pretty impressive. So with that, I appreciate you guys jumping on, giving me your honest thoughts. But before I check out of here, I'll go to you, Spencer, first. Is there anything you want everybody to know for Keyboard Kimura, for OSDB, everything?
The easiest thing is just follow me on X, I guess is what it's called now, at Spencer
It's
Kite.
weird to call it that,
It's
isn't
weird to call it X. I still want to call it Twitter.
I'm going to be following you in a minute. As soon as I get off here, I'm looking you up straight away.
Jump on X or IG
thing.
at Spencer Kite, all one word. I will relentlessly promote things there. Trying to add a couple new things to the mix, but I can't talk about them yet. So just pay attention. We'll be out here. We'll be doing stories.
Cool. Frankie?
Yeah, the usual stuff, really. I mean, as you know, you've been working with me quite closely for the last month or so. My channel's very new. I'm kind of taking things in a whole new direction. But yeah, just keep looking out for stuff. I'm kind of trying to up the upload schedule a bit more now. I'm trying to keep it to like every 2 days. So if you'll find me at Bad MMA Math. Very ambitious. But I don't have the same rigorous schedules as you guys do. So I might be able to get away with it slightly better. But yeah, just looking forward to kind of keeping things rolling this year and really making a go of it and trying new things. So look out for that. And everything's the same. It's at Bad MMA Math. So Twitter, YouTube, same thing. Kept it nice and simple.
Cool. That's the way to do it. Cool. Well, for everybody watching, if you haven't liked and subscribed to this point, definitely do so. And follow all of our socials. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. So until next time.